Nothing more. Give me 2 words.
Finally, at long last, I have got the Keen Seek on my feet. I shouldn't say at long last. I think the shoe is actually just released, but I first laid eyes on it out at TrailCon in June and really struck by how it looked. Got to try it on, how it felt on foot, and been really looking forward to this run. This is my first test run in the Seek. They arrived on my doorstep today. How do they look? Keen actually sent me a code and allowed me to choose my colorway with the shoe here, which is great. Typically I don't care too much, but when I do get the chance to choose, it is nice. So out of the colorways you see on the website there, this is my pick. It's got some very cool styling elements to it. It's kind of a tan color, which I always prefer. Light colored trail shoes. It's got a bit of gradient to it, which is nice, and a pop of kind of a, not hot pink, but light pink in the heel. I just think it looks super cool, very nice on the trails, and paired very well with these Injinji Courtney toe socks. Speaking of toe socks, Keen does focus on a natural foot shape fit, which I think is great. Another entry into that market segment. Of course, we've got Topo. If you got Altra, I think there's room for another one here. Yes, plenty of space for a mid-weight Injinji toe sock here in my true to size US 9.5. I'm gonna talk more in depth about fit in a little bit. Of course, that natural toe box, hot topic here. So on the run, first impressions here today. I've got an hour and a half, so let's see what we can cover. My daughter's got her mountain biking club today, so I've got about a mile lead in on the road and sidewalks earlier. This is not a road to trail shoe based on the outsole. We'll look at that later. But I think it has room to run on the road. They do talk about the durability of that outsole I just mentioned. They had it independently tested, something like 900 plus miles before it's worn flat. Now, I don't know who really gets to that point in their trail shoes, but it's good to know. It was pretty smooth on the way over here. Little segments of road and sidewalk. I've recently been running a lot in the Mount to Coast H1, which is clearly defined as a road to trail shoe, hybrid shoe. I don't quite think this is in that category, mainly due to the weight factor, but also due to the fact that, again, that outsole, which does contribute to the weight, pretty burly in this model here. So it is looking more like a trail option than a specific road to trail option. But I do have to mention that on my lead in here, it is passable for sections of road. So I wouldn't be worried about that if you're connecting to trails here and there from your house or in between trail segments. So I mentioned the weight, mentioned the lug depth. Let's get into the specs right away. Got a size US 9.5 here. True to size, and with the natural fit, it is a roomy true to size, meaning that I have a full thumbs width up front in front of the toes. There is also a solid bumper of empty space around the front of the toe, so I would recommend true to size here. Again, US 9.5 for me. If you have a narrow foot and if you like your shoes a little tighter, even I think, could potentially go down half size, US 9 with a thin sock here. But right off the bat, I do feel like this is kind of daily trainer territory, long distance shoe territory. So I would generally recommend true to size. Leave yourself room for maybe a little bit more cushion sock. But again, if you are an aficionado of very thin socks all the time, you could possibly even size down by a half. Speaking of distance, you've got 39 millimeters under the heel, 33 under the forefoot for a 6 mil drop here. It is listed on their website as Quantum Foam X. But on the side of the shoe, it does say funnest foam. So take your pick there. I do have to say, maybe 30 minutes into this run here, it's feeling pretty fun. I got the details at TrailCon that the midsole composition is 20% PIBA EVA blend. So 20% PIBA, 80% EVA. It does feel pretty nice underfoot. I could feel that touch of bounce, but not as much wobble or say instability from the foam itself that you would get from maybe a higher composition of PIBA foam. My size US 9.5 weighs in at an even 11 ounces, 310 grams. That weight does put it on the edge of being heavy, traditionally speaking, but stacks have been just going up and up and up, and I've seen more shoes pushing into the mid 11 ounce range. Foams are also becoming more energetic, lighter weight, so getting the sense just through my testing of a lot of higher cushion shoes recently that the 11 ounce cutoff for me isn't exactly what it used to be. As far as daily training and long distance miles, I'm becoming more comfortable with running in 11 ounce shoes, certainly if there are aspects of the shoe that I really like. The roomy toe box, secure midfoot setup here is certainly an aspect I really like. Similar to Topo's, but I do think the toe box a little bit more dialed in than some Topos, certainly the Vista and also the Ultra Venture. Balance is certainly another element working in the Seek's favor here. You've got an extra 6 millimeter under the heel, but with that wider forefoot, really feels balanced front to back. Don't feel like I'm dragging a high heel, anything like that. Very smooth, even weight underfoot. Catching a few raindrops here. See if I can have enough daylight to do a quick close-up once we get to the top here. Speaking of the ground platform here, forefoot, midfoot, heel, I've got the Seek here measured at 110, 76.90, which lines up very closely with the Topo Vista, which is 114, 75.88. I've mentioned Topos a couple times already, and specifically the Vista. That is probably very close comp to the shoe. Another one I do want to mention is the Prodigio Max. That one's kind of billed as a higher stack, wider in the front kind of shoe, which I really didn't think worked out that way, at least fit-wise. So maybe that's room for comparison between those three models later on. Moving on down to the outsole here, you've got Keen's all-terrain rubber, 4 mil lugs, hefty dose of rubber underfoot. So I was talking about the weight there being 11 ounces and how the shoe does feel balanced. Part of that is a lot of the weight is distributed evenly throughout that outsole rubber. Pretty solid under there. They could have shaved some weight. They probably could have got the shoe down to probably the mid 10 ounce range, but they do tout a 925 mile, and that's tested and verified, outsole durability number there. So 4 mil lugs and that amount of rubber certainly going to contribute to that. This kind of stuff right here, sandy, small rocks, medium rocks, loose here and there. Definitely helping out with the lugs here as opposed to maybe a road to trail shoe with shallower lugs. Flexibility underfoot is very good. So with that roomy toe box, there's no plate in the mix, just have the foam kind of flexing around. There's a big lengthwise segmentation of the outsole. I think that helps it laterally flex on ground contact. It does just seem to be kind of grabbing around whatever I'm stepping on underfoot here. Haven't noticed any real sharp impacts yet. Mostly smooth running here, except for that last climb there. You do have 33 under the forefoot. Protection at the heel shouldn't be an issue. 39 millimeter. That amount of rubber should be very protective there. Forefoot, you might feel some stuff, we'll see. But again, you've got full coverage rubber, mostly, and deep 4mm lugs. So that should either soak up or kind of deflect a lot of the impacts. I would expect pretty good protection with these. Let's go with the close-up here. You've got a pretty solid mesh upper here. It really focuses on sustainability and durability. I guess across their model line, and certainly as they're breaking into trail shoes here, they actually do say that durability is sustainability. I think that's a tagline I read somewhere. And no exception with this upper here. Seems like a quite durable mesh. A few little kind of TPU overlays around the side here. Spacious in the toe box, roomy in the toe box. I've got a full thumbs width right here and a bumper of kind of space all around the front of the toe box here. So that works really well for me. The shape is kind of, I would say, perfect for my foot. Similar to Topo, you've got very secure midfoot hold. So you've got that space here, but then it does seem to tighten up around here. So there's room for toe splay, even with these mid-weight Courtney socks here, but I do feel quite secure around the middle of the shoe, which is great. Take a look at flex here. It's not as flexible across the middle of the shoe as some other ones. There's certainly decent amount of toe flex. That flex point is really up front there, right around the ball of the foot, maybe a little bit forward. You can see that flex groove you have through the outsole there. I do think that helps with landing. So when I'm landing on the lateral side there, it smooths out the landing. It feels really, really smooth on the run. Landings are awesome. Quick look at the insole here. This is a plant-based, hard to read here, it's getting a little dark. Yeah, plant-based, made from agricultural waste. It is an ortholite-esque material, so a bit on the soft side. I might, you know, down the road switch this out. I'm not a big fan of ortholite. You have a knit collar around here. It's kind of a half booty design. So you have a booty type tongue here, which connects around here to the collar, but the booty doesn't extend to the front of the toe box. It's kind of like gusseted on the side. So the front of this tongue here, the gussets end right about here. So I've tested a couple shoes recently, the 001A. There was another one that's escaping me right now, where the front of the shoe, Prodigio Pro, of course, is one of them, but that has a TPU mesh outside. But the inner booty extends throughout the entire toe box. This one kind of ends right here. So it's kind of like an extended gusset into a knit gaiter collar situation here. One thing to note here is around here on the edges, it's not completely sealed. I mean, it's another one of these where they got the right idea, but it's a little flappy here. Maybe it's hard to do without a full booty design. I'm not certain how exactly that works, but like you could even see here, it kind of just flares out. So it's not really tight. This is not really going to protect anything from getting in. So that's a little bit of a bummer. They do have gaiter Velcro in the back though. So I assume they are aware of that. If this was completely sealed, they probably wouldn't go ahead and give you this. There's also a little mini hook loop there, so you can hook the front there. So great design there. Heel padding is pretty, there's a suede-ish type ring in there, pretty solid inside there. I haven't noticed any heel hold. It just feels, I think it feels kind of loose because this is off of my sock there, but the actual hold inside the shoe is pretty comfortable and secure. I haven't noticed any heel slippage. It's just, maybe I have the sensation of it being loose, but it's actually really not. The rest of the upper, it just fits, I think, I would say like a glove, aside from being roomy and spacious in the front of the toe box. If you like Topo or you like Altra, or generally maybe those are too wide for you. You like the idea of a Topo or an Altra, but perhaps those are maybe a bit too much space for you. I think this is a great entry into that market segment. They certainly, I would say, have the styling nailed here. The Courtney socks, of course, are making them look good, But Topos and Ultras, I don't think they've been known for the style factor. They have some good colorways in this shoe. Quick other thing I'll point out here, they do have a lace garage here. I'm not running anything super snaggy right now, but you can tuck those laces right in there, which is, again, another nice feature there. I better get rolling because the rain is coming down and it is getting pretty dark. So again, this is my first run here. I'm about an hour in. Gotta jet back in about 20-30 minutes or so, but let's see how they do on the downhill here. Here we go. A little flat actually before we hit the downhill. I noticed a touch of kind of foot movement inside the shoe on that downhill there. That's a little bit of a steep one, bit of rockiness. I'm kind of hopping around back and forth there, so that was a little bit more of a test than typical downhills, but it handled it pretty well. I might have to dial in the lacing a bit. Again, if you want a super dialed fit, and maybe if you were thinking of this shoe for that kind of terrain all the time and you really wanted to feel more dialed, maybe go down to half a size, maybe go with a thinner sock for more feel. Like if I was going in that kind of stuff, you know, for a longer period of time, I would definitely probably go that route. Thinner sock, tighter fit with a US 9 even. But then again, as I mentioned earlier, at 11 ounces and at 39-33 underfoot, I'm not really thinking of this shoe for that type of terrain and that type of context, so I would still go true to size in these. I'm happy with my true to size. Going a little bit steep down here. Again, a little bit of foot sliding forward here. Nothing excessive, and the good thing with a natural shaped toe box is that you don't really run into a sharp edge on the big toe side or the pinky side. You kind of just maybe press into the front of the toe box evenly, which is not too bad for short segments. Which way did I come from? Which way will be the quickest? I think this way. I'll also mention contouring inside the shoe under the arch. That's always a hot topic of conversation among shoes. It's, I would say, falling somewhere in between a Topo and an Ultra. Topo has that very distinct kind of contouring under the arch. Also the Mount to Coast H1, I found that does have the contouring. For me, it sits a little further back in the arch, closer to the front of the heel area. And Ultras are generally, at least for me, feeling very flat underfoot. This seems something in the middle of the foot, but really I can't notice any prominence coming up into the arch. And that's certainly allowing the foot to slide a little bit forward on the descents there, steeper parts, but it's less obtrusive for those of you that don't want anything pushing up into your foot from the bottom. These kind of more moderate cruisy descents, this shoe feels great. I'm going 6:30 pace here, not even thinking twice. Yeah, it's plenty smooth, but really no impact feeling underfoot at all. Feels very protective. I get to land kind of where I want at this grade of descent, probably rear arch, front heel, and it just locks into that roll forward. Really great. I was just talking about a couple other high cushion shoes, Cloudsurfer Trail 2, Challenger 8. Challenger 8 feels really centered far back in terms of cushion and where it wants you to land. Really back on the heel, really soft. Cloudsurfer Trail 2 rides more in the middle of the shoe. This one I would say middle rear. So that one I really feel like I'm kind of surfing the center of that shoe. My heel sinking down a little bit more. This one feels, 6 mil drop feels evident and probably about accurate as far as feeling like it is specified. So it doesn't feel steep like, say, 8 or 10, but you do feel like fully supported under the heel. I don't feel like my heel is sagging down at all. So if you're concerned about a bit of stretching out lower leg Achilles, this shoe is probably going to work well for you. So I am not aware of Keen having produced a trail shoe before. They might have in the past, but this is certainly their first foray into the trail market in recent memory. When I think of Keen, I kind of think of those, those sandals with the heavily rubberized toe caps, you know what I'm talking about? But anyway, they've done a lot of things right here. This is an excellent first foray into the market for Keen. I'm really excited to see what they do going forward. Again, this is just my first run out of the box. I'll be touching on 12-ish miles, maybe a little more, and they feel excellent on foot. Highly versatile shoe. I've got an upcoming trip to Germany, heading over there for 2 weeks, and from leaving my house to connecting flights until I touch down in Munich, I'm going to be wearing the shoe on foot. It's just that comfortable, and being on foot all day, going through airports, sitting on long flights, I like to have a comfortable, spacious shoe, and this is perfect. And of course, I want to bring it over there to run in. Highly versatile for hiking, and as I mentioned, I think it looks pretty good. Definitely around town, when you're out in Europe, people are wearing technical stuff all over the place. So this is a good looking shoe just for casual use as well. So I'll be bringing this along with me, probably doing a follow-up. I have all those shoes that I've talked about in the review, a bunch of new stuff, Una times Hoka Speedgoat 2. I have to do a more cushion roundup video. I did best cushion so far of 2025, but then I got so many other cushion shoes after I did that video, so I have to do probably a part 2, and this is clearly and obviously going to be at the top of that list, part of that video for sure. So again, I am calling it as I see it here. This is going to be one of my top shoes of 2025 for sure. Not trying to spoil it, but hey, it is. I would suggest you take a look at this shoe. I think it's available at REI. I will have an affiliate link in the description below if you found this helpful. This review or any others, just clicking through and purchasing through those links does not cost you anything, and it helps support the channel. Maybe helps me get a hold of more shoes to test. We do have the holiday season coming up with that, gift guides, top picks towards the fall and the end of the year. So I like to get my feet into everything. So purchasing through those affiliate links does help with that. Of course, questions and comments, anything down below. I love the feedback. I love to answer questions, comps that you want to see, of course. Hey, go to the website, www.humblerunning.com. Sign up for my newsletter. Again, I'll be traveling. Might be posting a few more updates on the website as I'm away, and maybe I don't have time for so many videos, but I actually do have some stuff in the queue, so there'll be a steady stream, don't worry. Thank you for tuning in again. I will see you out on the trails.